Hello, this is Slate with Combo of Rocks, bringing you another video deck tech of a deck that we built and sold by request. If you're not familiar with us, we make and sell custom budget EDH decks. These decks are light on the budget, so they may not be optimal or competitive, but they're definitely fun and centered around an essential theme that you can build on. Today we have Yorvo, Lord of Garenbrig, which is 3 green mana for a 0/0 legendary giant noble. He enters the battlefield with 4 +1/+1 counters on it. Whenever another green creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Yorvo. Then if the creature's power is greater than Yorvo's power, put another 1/1 counter on it. So this is just a mono green Stompy deck. We'll get into the deck here. We also have Runati, Behemoth Caller, 2 and a green for a 1/3 legendary cat shaman. Whenever you cast a creature spell with mana value 5 or greater, that creature enters with additional X 1/1 counters on it, where X is the mana value -4. Creatures you control with 3 or more 1/1 counters on them have haste and taps for green. So there is a 1/1 counter sub-theme in this deck. District Mascot, 1 green for a 0/0 dog mount, enters with a 1/1 counter. Pay 1 and a green, remove 2 counters from it, destroy an artifact. Whenever it attacks while saddled, put a 1/1 counter on it and saddle 1. Ornery Tumblewag, 2 and a green for a 2/2 Brushwag mount. On the beginning of combat on your turn, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. When it attacks while saddled, double the number of 1/1 counters on target creature with saddle 2. Web Strike Elite, green for a 3/3 insect archer with reach. You can cycle it for X green. When you cycle it, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment with mana value X. Galta Primal Hunger, 10 green for a 12/12 legendary elder dinosaur. Costs X less to cast, where X is the total power of creatures you control, and trample. Primordial Sage, 6 green for a 4/5 spirit. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may draw a card. Thunderfoot Baloth, 4 green for a 5/5 beast with trample. As long as you control your commander, it gets +2/+2, and other creatures you control get +2/+2 and have trample. Endray's Forerunners, 5 and 3 green for a 7/7 boar with vigilance, trample, and haste. Enters, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain vigilance and trample until end of turn. Ant Queen, 3 green for a 5/5 insect. Pay 1 and a green to put a 1/1 insect creature token onto the battlefield. Notice that will trigger Yorvo. Even though it's a small green creature, it is still a green creature, so each insect you play will trigger Yorvo's +1/+1 ability. Renegade Krasis, 1 green for a 3/2 beast mutant with evolve. So if a creature with greater power or toughness enters, put a 1/1 counter on it. And when it evolves, put a 1/1 counter on each other creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it. Quirion Beast Caller, 1 and a green for a 2/2 Dryad Warrior. Whenever you cast a creature spell, put a 1/1 counter on Quirion Beast Caller. When it dies, distribute X 1/1 counters among any number of creatures you control, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on Quirion Beast Caller. Vivian Reed, 3 green for a 5 loyalty Vivian. +1, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You can reveal a creature or land from among them, put it in your hand, the rest in the bottom in random order. -3, destroy an artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. -8, you get an emblem with creatures you control, get +2/+2, have vigilance, trample, and indestructible. Sylvan Anthem, green for an enchantment. Green creatures you control get +1/+1. Whenever a green creature enters the battlefield under your control, scry 1. Ooze Flux, 3 and a green for an enchantment. 1 and a green, remove 1 or more 1/1 counters from a creature you control. Put an XX green ooze creature token onto the battlefield, where X is the number of 1/1 counters removed this way. Verdurous Gearhulk, 3 green for a 4/4 artifact creature construct with trample. When it enters, distribute 4 1/1 counters among any number of creatures you control. Decimator of the Provinces, 10 mana for a 7/7 Eldrazi boar. You can emerge it for 6 and 3 green by sacking a creature. You also pay a reduced cost that way. Whenever you cast a spell, creatures you control get +2/+2, gain trample until end of turn, and it has trample and haste itself. Emerald Medallion, 2 mana artifacts, green spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Lifecaster's Bestiary, 3 mana. On your upkeep, scry 1. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you can pay green. If you do, draw a card. Tome of Legends, 2 mana artifact, enters with a page counter. Pay 1 and tap it to remove a page counter and draw a card. Whenever your commander enters or attacks, put a page counter on Tome of Legends. Sword of Vengeance, 3 mana equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0, has first strike, vigilance, trample, and haste with equip 3. Swiftfoot Boots, 2 mana equipment. Equipped creature has hexproof and haste with equip 1. Smoke Bomb, 3 mana artifact with flash. All creatures you control have Shroud, or all creatures have Shroud. On your upkeep, sacrifice it. When you do, target creature you control can't be blocked this turn. Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, and Heraldic Banner, 3 mana artifact, choose a color. So green, the creatures of the chosen color get +1/+0, and add a green here. Borrelios of Ferris Band, 3 green for Star Legendary Centaur Scouts. Power toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. Whenever it attacks, draw a card, then put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. Serac, the Hunt Caller, 2 green for 5/4 Legendary Human Warrior. It's got Formidable, so at the beginning of combat on your turn, if creatures you control have total power 8 or greater, target creature gains haste until end of turn. Primeval Herald, 3 and a green for a 3/1 Elf Scout with trample. When enters or attacks, search your library for a basic land, put on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Fertilid, 2 green for 0/0 Elemental, enters with 2 1/1 counters. Pay 1 and a green, remove a counter from it. Search your library for a basic land, put it on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Elvish Rejuvenator, 2 and a green for 1/1 Elf Druid. When it enters, look at the top 5 cards of your library, put a land from among them onto the battlefield, tap, the rest on the bottom in a random order. Diligent Farmhand, 1 green for a 1/1 Druid. Pay 1 and a green, sack it to search for a basic land, put on the battlefield, tapped. The Muscle Burst effect doesn't really matter here. We're not playing Muscle Burst in the deck. Elvish Mystic, 1 green for 1/1 Elf, taps for green. Llanowar Elves, same thing, different name. Secure Tribolder, 1 and a green for 1/1 Snake Shaman. Sacrifice to search for a basic land, put on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Dawn Shredder Elk, 1 in green. Similar ability, you do have to pay green to sack it. It is a 2/2. Whisper of the Wilds, 1 in green for 0/2 Human Shaman, taps for green. If you got a creature of power 4 or greater, it taps for 2 green. Elysian Carotid, 1 in green for 1/1, taps for mana of any color. Again, if you have a creature with power 4 or greater, add 2 mana instead. Ordeal of Nylea, 1 in green enchantment. When an enchanted creature attacks, put a 1/1 counter on it. If it has 3 or more 1/1 counters, sacrifice it. When you sack it, search for 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped. Wolfwell Haven, 1 green, 1 in a green for an enchant land. Enchanted land taps for additional green. Pay 4 in a green and sack it. Create a 2/2 green wolf creature token, only during your turn. Llanowar Visionary, 2 in a green for a 2/2 elf druid. When it enters, draw a card. Also adds green. Migratory Greathorn, 3 in green for 3/4. You can mutate it for 2 in a green. When it mutates, search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped, and shuffle your library. Also works on Yorvo because he's a 0/0. This would make him a 3/4 plus any counters that he has. Snakeskin Veil, 1 green for an instant. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control against hexproof until end of turn. Wild Shape, 1 green instant. Choose a mode, and your creature becomes a 1/3 turtle with hexproof, a 1/5 spider with reach, or a 3/3 elephant with trample. Again, this will buff Yorvo. He's got counters on him, and he's a 0/0, but also good at protecting your creature with hexproof. Royal Treatment, 1 green instant. Target creature you control gains hexproof until end of turn. Create a Royal Roll token attached to that creature. So it's an enchanted creature that gets +1/+1 and has Ward 1. Gaia's Gift, 1 in a green instant. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control against reach, hexproof, and indestructible until end of turn. Horrid Vigor, 1 in a green instant. Target creature gains Death Touch and indestructible until end of turn. Blinding Fog, 2 in a green instant. Prevent all damage that be dealt to creatures this turn. Creatures you control gain hexproof until end of turn. Hunter's Talent, 1 in a green enchantment class. It's got 3 levels. First level, when it enters, target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to a creature you don't control. 1 in a green, whenever you attack, a target attacking creature gets +1/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. 3 in a green, level 3. At the beginning of your end step, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw a card. Inspiring Call, 2 in a green instant. Draw a card for each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it. Those creatures gain indestructible until end of turn. Armorcraft Judge, 3 in green for a 3/3 elf artificer. When it enters, draw a card for each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it. Garruk's Uprising, 2 in a green enchantment. When it enters, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw a card. Creatures you control have trample. Whenever a creature you control with power 4 or greater enters, draw a card. Nylea's Forerunner, 4 in a green for a 5/3 enchantment creature beast with trample. Other creatures you control have trample. Monstrous Onslaughts, 3 green deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control as you cast this spell. Caustic Caterpillar, 1 green for a 1/1 insect. Pay 1 in a green and sack it, destroy an artifact or enchantment. Reclamation Sage, 2 in a green for a 2/1 elf shaman. When it enters, destroy an artifact or enchantment. Myconid Spore Tender, 3 in a green for a 4/1 fungus. Again, when it enters, destroy an artifact or enchantment. Conclave Naturus, 4 in a green for a 4/4. When it enters, destroy an artifact or enchantment. Stormkeld Vanguard, 4 green for a 6/7 that can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. You can pay 1 in a green to play the adventure part, destroy an artifact or enchantment. Foul Strike, 1 in a green instant, destroy a creature with flying, or reinforce 2 by paying 2 in a green, discarding the card, and putting 2 1/1 counters on target creature. Pride Mulkin, 2 in a green for a 2/1 cat. When it enters, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it has trample. Loyal Guardian, 4 in a green for a 4/4 trample rhino. At the beginning of combat, if you control your commander, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Nylea's Huntmaster, 3 in a green for a 4/3 centaur shaman. When it enters, target creature you control gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is your devotion to green. So Yorvo has 3 green in his mana cost, plus any other green you have on the battlefield. Colossus Design, 5 in green, sorcery. Creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is your devotion to green. And Tangled Floral Hedron, 1 in a green for a 1/1 elemental, taps for green. It can also be a tapped green land if you need it. Into some actual lands here. Mosswort Bridge, Hideaway 4. So you look at the top 4 cards of your library, exile one of them face down. Enters, taps for green, tap green, and you can play the exile card without paying its mana cost if you have total power 10 or greater on the battlefield. The Hunter Maze can be sacked to draw a card. Tranquil Thicket can be cycled. Slippery Cards can also be cycled. Hidden Nursery, you can pay 4 in a green to sack it to discover 4. Llanowar Reborn enters with a counter, and when a creature enters, you can move that counter onto a creature. Jungle Basin enters tapped. You have to return an untapped force you control to its owner's hand when it enters, and it taps for green and a colorless mana, so 2 mana. Heart of Havenwood Battleground taps for green, enters tapped. You can sack it and tap it to add 2 green to your mana pool for some quick mana. Rogue's Passage, taps for colorless, 4 taps, target creature can't be blocked. Blighted Woodland, 3 in a green, tap, sack, search for 2 basic lands, puts them onto the battlefield tapped. And then we have some basic forests here. That's the deck. I hope you enjoyed it, but we'll see you next time.